Morning, and it's very early, and as I'm recording this, and when I did a little check, because it's anyone who lives in Kent or knows anything about Kent, I'm in this country park that's literally running adjacent to the A2, so literally, it's very. If I turn over here, look, let me try and turn the camera so you can at least see what I see. I like to bring you in. There we go. The wonderful A2. Okay. Oh gosh, hold on, let me make sure you can see. And then, so when I was doing the check, I also realised my hair blends with the trees. It's very autumnal. Yeah, that's the word, isn't it? Anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about this morning is, do your teams know where your head is at? If you've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes with trying to figure out what your company's stance is going to be, what actions you're going to take, and you've created like a task group or like a miniature project team, right? So you do all these things like behind closed doors, and you're all talking and sharing information and debating and discussing. But if you're not bringing in the rest of the organisation, and I know it goes back to like communications 101, isn't it? But particularly with this, is people assume your silence means you're not doing anything, or they assume that you don't have an opinion, or that you do have an opinion. Your opinion is, as an organisation, you don't want to do anything about building an anti-racist, super inclusive culture, right? And you're not willing to take the steps to do what needs to be done. For some organisations, they still even haven't acknowledged this. And I know you won't believe me, but honestly, there are organisations who aren't even just desperately like, when's it all going to go away? So now is the time, as we get into back to school mode, to just say to people, look, this is where I'm at as a leader, as a CEO, as a managing director, as head of department, whatever. Here's where my head's at. This is what I've been doing. This is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what I'm currently doing. Because in this, like, it's great that people want to share like their thoughts and reflections on what's going on in the States, give a view of what the media are doing or not doing, which is not particularly helpful. But if it's not matched with some sort of action, then people are a bit like, well, haven't we been having these conversations for like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, if not longer? So at what point does the discussion turn to action? So even in the discussion, in the debate phase of where you are, there are still some things that you definitely would have done. Who have you reached out to? Do you know what I mean? What things have you immediately changed that's really easy for you to do so? Are you thinking about conducting a listening forum, to centre and amplify the voices of your black colleagues? Or have you already done that? And if you've already done that, what are you doing next? If you are hiring for a diversity, equity and inclusion person, talk to everybody about why. Also talk to everybody about how you're going to set up that individual for success. Because we're going to deal with that in another video, but there's a hiring spree going on right now of one individual, and organisations are pinning their hopes, their dreams and execution of action plans on one person. Because sometimes the danger is, like, we hold information up here and we think people know what we're thinking. And also, if you're so used to having a culture where a lot of that debate and discussion around the serious stuff is had around the board of directors, or when you're having your non-exec direct meetings, then you're excluding the rest of your workforce. And I'm not saying like you have to spend all your time like, what's the phrase, like bringing everybody into the room, so to speak. Like, you can pick and choose the way that you do that, and you can engage. If you've got employee resource groups, you really want to update people and let them know, but not from an organisational, this is what we do, in like a scripted formal thing, from a human perspective. Like, this is what I stand for as a leader. This is some of the things that I'm trying to grapple with. Even when I'm grappling with some of these things, here are the things that I'm doing, and I just want you to know this is where my head is at. And I think it's such a powerful thing to allow your colleagues, your employees, your suppliers, people in your ecosystem, right, just to get an insight into the individual behind, the almost like the corporate facade. Not that, you know what I mean when I say that, but we always think there's a way we need to show up in this, right? And we talk about the royal we. We've got nice fancy presentations with data and graphs and all of that sort of stuff. But actually sometimes your people just want to hear from you. Like, what's in your heart, what's on your mind. And I do think we forget the impact of that in our bid to show that we've got everything sewn together neatly and we've packaged it right. So we spend a lot of time thinking about the packaging of it, how we're going to present it, does it look good, rather than focusing on the heart and soul of the message itself. So now is the time. I hate that phrase actually, because we all say that, like, now is the time, but back to school, back to work. Let your people know where your head's at with this. So that's my thoughts on a glorious morning adjacent to the A2. So I hope you have a good rest of day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.